Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we explore the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Milan, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced, the lessons learned, and the strategies fueling future growth. Today, I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined by Dr. Stephanie, a functional health and nutrition coach and group fitness instructor. Her professional focus centers on functional health for women through Functional You RX, a 16-week one-on-one program addressing root causes like hormone imbalances, gut repair, mold, and parasites via lab panels and personalized protocols alongside the Clarity Circle membership for issues such as fatigue, brain fog, and weight challenges. At Club Movement, she delivers very low-impact workouts paired with recovery options like infrared sauna, assisted stretching, and massage therapy. With that being said, Stephanie, let me officially welcome you to Founders Future.
Thank you very much for that lovely intro.
Yeah, this doesn't even do you justice, to be honest. I had to remake it a couple of times as I was getting ready for you. But no, this is going to be an exciting conversation. I think we're bound to have a good time. So let's jump right into it. What I love to do with every single one of my guests is a bit of traveling back in time. So before you even had this company, what was the journey like? What were you doing before? And then eventually, what was the motivation for starting this?
Yeah, so originally what I was doing before, and I guess if I go a little bit further back, is I used to be a professional dancer. Actually, that was the beginning of my journey. And I danced professionally while I was also in medical school. So I had dueling passions at the time. And then that very quickly turned into medicine is not always conducive to continuing to do those sorts of things and creative pursuits, and got dived into fitness after that. And that's what spurred me on into the fitness and the nutrition realm. And then really I started both businesses out of the fact that I just really kept seeing the same frustrating pattern over and over. High performing women doing everything right and still just feeling exhausted, inflamed, stuck in their bodies. And as an ER physician, I'd see women told their labs were quote unquote normal while they were clearly not okay. And so on the fitness side as well, I saw women cycling through gyms, boot camps, programs that just weren't built really for their physiology or their real lives. And so Club Movement was created to give women a place where movement actually feels sustainable and supportive, not punishing. And then Root RX, or formerly known as the Elite Mom Movement, we actually just rebranded. That was created to solve more of those deeper root cause issues that just fitness alone can't fix.
Absolutely. What a journey, though, going from dancing to medical school to fitness. There is a lot that has happened over the years, that's for sure. But you know what I always say when it comes to business, the journey is never linear. So
Yeah.
obviously, you pivoted several times, a lot of adjusting. And also, you gave us a little sneak peek into what I'm going to talk about next with you. But my goal is really to get some clarity for the audience in terms of what does the business look like today? Who is exactly somebody who you're looking to help? And also, what are the core offerings that you have in place for those clients? So go ahead and tell us all about it.
Yeah, so the business today is really based around two arms. And so we have the brick and mortar, the fitness, the wellness side, in person aspect of it all. And then we have the online one-on-one functional health coaching that's a bit more customized and just dialed in terms of how we help really support women. So it really depends on the level of support that they feel like they need as well as their location. And so originally, both businesses were honestly much simpler and honestly much more reactive, I would say. And over time, I just realized that the real transformation happens when you combine things like movement, recovery, labs, coaching, identity change, and mindset shift is a big part of this as well. So today, both businesses are really built around very clear journeys instead of a bunch of random services. So whether someone comes in through a class, a consult, online coaching, they're guided through a system and not just left guessing, what do I do next or what do I take advantage of? And so that's how we've evolved over time, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. This is interesting though, because you're still balancing between the world of in-person services, but also online. I'm curious, two questions.
Yeah.
Where does the passion lies? What do you want to do more of? And also, what is currently the ratio?
Oh, that's a great question. So I think my passion is definitely a little split, although I feel more recently it's skewed a bit. So my passion initially is definitely more group fitness in person. Just love that. That's the first business that I opened and it's my baby. And I still love teaching and feeling that energy. But now, especially after going through my own health journey that really spurred on the functional health coaching and having my son and going through that process, and also just wanting a little more kind of freedom and flexibility, honestly, in my life. The online side is really, I've just seen there's a much greater demand and a much greater reach of how many women I can really touch and impact through that area. And so I am pivoting more so in that direction in terms of just where I spend my day-to-day time as well, and allowing what I've built in my baby to continue to function on its own. And yeah, it's been a beautiful evolution, but that's what I say. Right now, we're probably split maybe 60-40 or 70-30 in the online direction.
Yeah, that's beautiful though. I feel like you love both of them. So it's always going to be to a certain extent a combination of those. But I would agree that when it comes to the world of online, there is no limit in terms of who you can reach. And also when it comes to your industry, in the past few years, it has been really booming, right? The idea of online coaching and really having the ability to provide a good service that way, it's just a game changer. So I love to see that you're also pivoting towards that. Now, obviously, one of the key components of making something like that happen is your ability to get in front of the right people and also do it at the right time. So,
Yeah.
what I want to do next is talk a little bit about what's really going on behind the scenes to really have that ability to keep onboarding those clients and keep changing lives.
What do you want to know? I guess.
So,
Uh,
let me simplify it, okay?
yeah.
When it comes to I know for a fact there is going to be a lot of people listening to this podcast right now who are on a fence of whether they should go in terms of organic content on social media, whether they should do strategic partnership, whatever the case might be. What I
Mm.
want to do now is use your story to inspire those people. So, what is really happening with your own marketing? What do you do for lead generation to make this all possible?
Yeah. Okay. So, really, predominantly my growth has all been through organic, and it was a slow burn in the beginning. We'll be really honest about that. And then it's like it takes one spark and it's like it takes off like wildfire. And I think it took a lot of time for me to really hone in on my messaging and who I was speaking to. And once I really figured out what my central messaging and that core of what that needed to be around to I attract my ideal client, then that's when I saw just the consistent virality, the consistent lead flow and lead generation. And we've only been doing the online for a little over a year, and it's just massive growth in the span of a year. It's been crazy to go from, I think my page was a personal page when I started, just regular run-of-the-mill social media stuff. And then, so in the last, let's say 10 or 11, or no, 12, 13 months, we're almost at 100K followers in just that short span. So it's been really great. And I think that was a great way for me to start because I needed that time to figure out who I was really talking to and who I was speaking to and to figure out what clicked before then. Now we do a little bit of paid advertising or paid ads, and mostly we do this to get people to our events like master classes or things like that. But the eventuality is that we'll go into doing it more regularly just to book calls on the calendar as we grow and scale. But that's been my trajectory, and we have no shortage of lead flow, which is a wonderful problem to have.
No, I was just about to say, if you wouldn't mention it, I would mention it 100% because your Instagram profile is almost 100K
Yeah.
people on there. So this is the kind of growth and the kind of exposure that not a lot of people are going to see that. So there's obviously something that you did. And if there is one main key takeaway from what you just said, if anybody listening to this right now, it's going to be getting that clarity on your messaging and positioning, right? Getting very clear about who you want to communicate with, in what way, and what about. So I love that you mentioned that. And when it comes to this, I'm also curious, have you hired somebody at first just to help you and teach you how to do it correctly, or was it maybe like a self-taught journey? What was your process?
Yeah, I did. I've never hired anyone to do my social media. I still do it all completely
Wow.
myself. that is a plan for 2026, I must say. But especially now that I've got the format down. But I can't say I did it completely on my own either. I think investing in mentorship and having people who have been there, who can be an objective eye and help you hone in on those things and formats that work, etc. It goes a long way towards cutting down the learning curve. And so I think that's made a big difference in my growth as well, is that I wasn't afraid to really just take the leap and just keep investing in things I knew would better my gaps in knowledge as well so that I could close the gap faster.
Yeah, this is quite a neat operation. So I gotta ask you, with you mentioning that you're still managing your own social media and everything, have you already delegated when it comes to different departments, whether that's fulfillment, whether that's sales, or how does really the structure with your team looks like now?
Yes, the first thing that I delegated fairly quickly, especially after we went viral, was having appointment setters or setters in the DMs who help filter through a lot of that for me. And then, so we have a couple or two or three of those on the team. And then we have, of course, I have a VA who helps with my administrative tasks and things I needed to be able to focus on fulfillment for the clients because I am still the one who oversees and views all the labs and builds all the protocols at this point. And so the goal is I have assistant coaches who fulfill the rest of that aspect though. So I'm just focused on the medical side of it and then they help them actually implement it. But they are all going through and I invested in them as well to get their own training so they can read their own labs, build their own protocols as well, so that we have the ability to grow and scale even more. And I'm not the bottleneck or
Yeah, I was just
continuing
about
to
to
be
say
the
there's a lot
bottleneck.
happening. Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah,
variety here,
yeah,
and you have to balance all of that. But no, this actually looks like you're really taking your time to set the right fundamentals so that you're even allowing the company to grow and scale. Right? Because what you see a lot of the times is that obviously the idea of scale and growth, it is attractive, but at the same time, if you don't build the right walls, it's just going to come crashing down, right? So
yeah.
I love to see this. And also, when it comes to scaling, you mentioned it several times. Your idea and your philosophy in terms of scalability, there is a lot of alternatives, right? You could hire more assistant coaches working with the same methodologies. You can focus more on the world of group coaching. There is a lot of options. So I'm curious, what is really the kind of model that you have in mind that will support you in growing the company?
Yeah, and I think it continues to evolve. It also based upon the feedback that we get from our clients, but I think they all really appreciate that one-on-one aspect because your health is just so unique to you that the one thing I preach is that the approach for somebody else may not work for you just because we need to be operating off of your unique blueprint. And so I think we will always stay one-on-one and very personalized and customized in that way. And I think that that's it, because we're in a health adjacent space. I think that's really important to the integrity of of my messaging and how I speak to my clients. And so I don't foresee that aspect changing anytime soon. But yeah, I think for now, at least that's where we're at.
Absolutely. Listen, it works. So you just validated that model. You can just build on top of it. And in terms of building on top of that, let's talk about the future and maybe specifically what you have envisioned for just the next 6 to 12 months. What are really the biggest goals, targets, revenue, milestones that you have set for yourself?
Yeah. So I'd say our top priorities really for the next 6 to 12 months are one, I do want to really focus on strengthening my own leadership, but leadership within the business as a whole and those accountability systems. And we have a focus on increasing our lifetime value of our clients as well through just better, more improved and valuable client journeys. And then really expanding impact without sacrificing that quality or that integrity, which is really what I live and stand by. And so our targets, I feel, are really aggressive in terms of revenue, but really intentional. So we want to build towards really consistent six-figure months. And then in person, our focus is really more so there on sustainability and profitability, not what I like to call that more vanity growth. So that's what we're focused on there.
Beautiful. I love the aggression. Aggression means that there is a lot of intent. And it seems like out of everything that you said, this is really impact driven. So I like that. And when it comes to really hitting those goals, seeing this kind of growth and scale that you want to see, what would you expect to become the biggest bottleneck? What would stand in the way or maybe become the biggest challenge in terms of making that happen?
Oh, I guess I'd have to say the one-on-one aspect, but I think more so than that, it's me getting out of the way. Realizing that people can deliver and fulfill on the offer that I've created in the same way that I can, and that I don't have to be that person to deliver for every single person. And I think a lot of us, especially as founders and like being the face of the company on top of that, and like thinking that they only want to talk to me or they only want my help, but it's really the ideas, the messaging, the philosophy, and that's what they want to be a part of, and allowing them to see that they can get the same results, but it doesn't always have to come directly from me so that I'm not the bottleneck in scaling this operation.
Absolutely. It makes a lot of sense, though. There is a lot of self-awareness here, which I'm liking very much. But also, Stephanie, let me ask you this. We live in a world where AI is absolutely booming. It's one of the biggest trends. So I also wanted to briefly touch on this and maybe see if there is like a particular piece of technology or AI that you've implemented in your company and you could really call it a game changer. Is there something like that?
Ooh, I can say yeah. I can't say yes yet because we're actually implementing it right now. But we are essentially today, actually, we're trying to start implementing an AI DM setter to help
Oh,
us book
wow.
our calls. And then we also have an AI caller. So to follow up on all of our leads within 60 seconds of doing so. And that's through a company called Atlas that I found. But that one I think will also be a game changer in just being able to get to all of our leads faster and then get them booked on the calendar. So,
Speed is the name of the game. I would
mhm.
agree. I love that. Stephanie, let me ask you one last question. You've been in the business for quite some time now. So if you could travel back and maybe speak to your younger self, maybe at the very beginning of that journey as an entrepreneur, what would be the best piece of advice that you would give yourself? That's a Really
great
making you
question.
think
I
today.
feel like I have so many things I would say now. Hindsight's 2020.
Go ahead.
But I think the biggest thing would be don't I'd say two things. So don't be afraid to take the leap and trust yourself when you're making decisions. But then the second thing would be it does not all have to fall on your back. And I think that I built my entire first business on my back. And so then I saw the effects of that when I had to step away from it. And that became a whole kind of roller coaster ride to get it back to where it is today. And that served as great knowledge for how I built now this online component of the business and making sure that I am not scaling this in a way that is just completely dependent upon me and not really giving the ideals that I wanted when I created the business to begin with. So if you're creating it to be an entrepreneur and to have some kind of flexibility within your life, but then you build it all on your back, then that's gone.
That's exactly how 95% of the business owners really become their own bottlenecks. So
Yeah,
I would agree
yeah,
100%.
exactly.
Stephanie, this is a beautiful company that you're building. It's already changing a lot of lives. And I'm happy that I had a chance to speak with you and share this lovely journey. Thank you so much for that. And if anybody from our listeners would like to get in touch with you and maybe even work with you, what is the best way to go about it?
Yeah, we have our social media. I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Doc Stephanie MD. And then we also have our website. It's elitemommovement.com/home. It's still under our old branding. And then we also, for Club Movement, for our in-person location, that's located in Rocheron, Texas, right outside of Houston. So if you're in the area, stop by, or you can go to clubmovement.com, and that's MVMNT, so movement without the vowels.
Beautiful. Thank you again. It was a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Now, to our listeners, if today's conversation inspired you as well, make sure to subscribe to Founders Future on your favorite platform. And also, if you're a business owner, more specifically a consultant or a coach, or you have an agency and you're trying to scale the business and really enhance both your sales and marketing efforts, also visit closers.io, get in touch with our team, and discover how exactly we scaled our company from 0 to over 30 million per year in less than 3 years. Until then, keep on crushing it, and I'll see you on the next one.